This is the Build Zone podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to episode 119 of the Build Zone podcast. My name is Allison Jackson, I'm joined by Mike Maloney. We have our presenting partner, Palmer and Sicard, and then our lightning round sponsor, the Gould Construction Institute. Mike, tell us a little bit about our presenting partners this month.
Once again, we're proud to have Palmer and Sicard on board. They are a comprehensive mechanical contractor with the skills, knowledge, and commitment to do the job right. Project conception to providing care long after the project is complete. Palmer and Sicard provides expertise in plumbing, pipe fitting, HVAC, sheet metal fabrication, and service. You can learn more by visiting their website, palmerandsicard.com. And one of the things I like to do for our sponsors is maybe just kind of read what's going on their LinkedIn profile. I did notice that they have someone enjoying their retirement. So congratulations to Bob on his retirement from Palmer and Sicard.
That's awesome.
Bob Kessel is retiring, a master electrician, HVAC technician. That he is a valuable member of the Palmer and Sicard service department. His positive attitude, loyalty, and camaraderie will be sorely missed. So congratulations to Bob. Everybody here at the Build Zone podcast. And then we've got the Gould Construction Institute on board as our lightning round sponsor. And we're lucky to have Gould on board because as school is winding down, we are all preparing for the start of the 24-25 school year. So the students that are listening, keep going. You're almost done. A couple more weeks, you'll be done. But for anybody that's listening is inquiring about registrations, they'll open up in June, I believe. Early June, mid-June.
Yep. Does it ever really wind down for us, Mike?
No, I wish it did, but it's always going.
We will be releasing the date for early bird registration to a select few people that have joined that specific mailing list. I know that we've mentioned that on the podcast before, but if you want to know when that's going to be released ahead of the rest of everyone, shoot me an email and I will add you to that mailing list, allison@gwgci.org.
All right, and then this week's wild and wacky news, we're going to be going over to China. 100 huskies escape a dog cafe and run through a Chinese mall.
So many questions.
The dogs had their day at a Chinese mall when 100 huskies escaped from a pet cafe and ran loose through the shopping center. Workers at the cafe said someone left the door open, allowing 100 canines to run into the shop mall, surprising and delighting shoppers. Reason for the dogs being excited was that the business owner had visited the cafe after a prolonged absence. Workers ran after the dogs were able to round up the excited animals after a prolonged indoor chase. What would you think if you were at the mall and 100 dogs started running by?
I have a few comments and questions. Let me put my coffee down. So first, I want to know how big this cafe is that it can comfortably fit 100 dogs.
Right.
I also am curious if it actually does comfortably fit 100 dogs or if there's just 100 dogs kind of being warded in there. And my final question, truly, who let the dogs out?
Oh, rib shot. That's a good one. All right, then.
Who?
Perfect.
Who
Awesome.
let
That was
the
great.
dogs out? Who?
All right. This week on the podcast, we have Mike DelConte. He is the Vice President of Sales, Heating and Gas Division for Webb. It was nice to have him on. We met at the PHCC last year and being able to stay in contact and have him on the podcast. He was a great guest. Lots of great information. He's also does this thing on LinkedIn where he does like golf tips, and it's more of a spoof on golf tips. So if you're a golfer and you want some great helpful tips in the golf world, check out Mike DelConte. We'll listen to what he's got to say. All right, Build Zone podcast listeners, we've got a good one on tap for us today because we've got Mike DelConte, the Vice President of Sales and Heating and Gas Division from Webb. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me. Great to be on.
And I appreciate it because we've been, like most of my guests, like chase, track down, harass, bother, pester, whatever it takes to get him on. But we met Mike last year at the PHCC at the dinner. Very, very nice. And if you follow Mike DelConte on LinkedIn, he does some great golfing tips. We'll talk about that at the end. But Mike, real quick, tell us about yourself and tell the listeners how you got to be where you're at today with Webb.
Sure. Thank you. Well, yeah, my name is Mike DelConte, born and raised in the Boston, Mass area. I wound up getting a degree in marketing and an MBA and getting into the industry really now going back almost almost 25 years ago, but started out in the wholesale distribution business and just fell in love with it, and been here ever since. And I started in the warehouse picking orders, loading trucks, working the counter, inside sales, outside sales, sales management, and just really enjoying every role that I had along the way. I learned a ton about our industry and the business in general. And currently today, I'm the vice president of sales at Webb, overseeing the heating and the gas division. So really, my main focus that I've always taken into account, and I think this has worked well, is just a genuine care for customer service, a genuine passion for our customers, and making sure that we deliver the best customer service on a day in and day out basis for our customer base, the contractors, the HVAC contractors, fuel dealers, heating contractors, equipment installation and service. So that's kind of been my mantra of just trying to have good relationships, good service, and winning it out that way every day. So,
And it's funny that you mentioned customer service, because you talk to so many different people about customer service. Some know what it is, and some you question it every day when you go someplace, right? To you, on your end, what does good customer service look like for you guys at FWB?
Just understanding that it starts with the person that's delivering the customer service to actually have the passion and the care for customer service and want to make the customer happy. And there's things that we can do. We do some fine tuning. We do some customer service training. But ultimately, it's about, giving a crap and actually wanting to deliver a high level of service to the customer. So pay attention to detail, asking good questions, being attentive, being there for the customer, doing what you say you're going to do, following up, following through. And ultimately, it's not a perfect world and not a perfect industry. And there is human error involved in everything that we do, right? So the expectation is not, it's to be as close to perfect as possible, knowing that there's going to be things that happen. Truck's going to break down. There's going to be flat tires. An order is going to get pulled wrong. But it's not necessarily what the mistake was. It's how do you handle the mistake after you realize there's a mistake, right? And then how hard do we work to fix it and fix it quickly for the customer? And a lot of that, I think, is the barometer sometimes for good customer service. It's how do you solve problems and put out fires when they arise?
I think the ability too that you guys are FWA has such a wide. You guys go all over New England, right? So you've got, myself, and I'm sure most of your customers the same way. They like to be able to. I'm sure online is great. It's convenient. You can place an order, call on it, but to go into the facility, go into your showroom, and actually look at things, right? And then go to a counter and talk to a real life person, not a robot or someone who wasn't in the store. I think that's pretty amazing. I know one of the things that FWeb is so passionate about is the helping and supporting of the trade schools and the trade education.
Yeah.
What are some things you guys do to support that?
Sure. Yep. So we've been doing this really throughout our entire territory. So we're for anybody that's not familiar with FWeb, we're family-owned company. We started in 1866. We've grown to over 130 locations across the Northeast, all throughout New England, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Long Island, Philadelphia, into New York City. So we've really grown quite a bit over the through the duration of from our existence. What we do at the trade school level is we provide support to trade schools. We provide training. We bring some of our hydronics trucks to trade schools when they're available. We'll bring trade school students through some of our facilities when we have counter days, when we have manufacturers on site, if they want to learn more about a certain piece of equipment or manufacturer, or really just get an idea for what we do as a distributor. So we know that over the past 20 so years, there's really been a kind of a drop of attendance in trade schools, and we're starting to see that come back now, which is great. But for our customers, the plumbing contractor, the heating contractor, the fuel dealer, service company, for them to really grow their business, they need a good labor pool to choose from, right? Otherwise, it makes it very difficult. So we're doing everything we can to help promote the trades, and we're doing everything we can to help support the students that are in the trade schools. We support the PHCC on a massive level to try to help get tools into people's hands and get education into students' hands. So, I mean, we do a lot of different things, but we kind of have a whatever it takes attitude, really. And there's no reasonable offer refused. So.
Why do you think? Why do you think the trades have been down for so long and are just finally starting to go back up? Why do you think that?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think from what I've heard from some people is that a lot of people that probably wish they did go into the trades or could have gone into the trades were maybe talked out of it by somebody that was bad advice. Obviously, it's just a great industry. It's a great way to make a living. You think about demand, right? There will never be soft demand for heat, hot water, clean drinking water, cool air on a hot summer's day. I mean, this industry is not going anywhere, and it's constantly going to be in high demand, and it's constantly going to be the need for local support. So, I think there's probably some people that wish they had gone into trade school or should have, and were talked out of it. But I think people are seeing you can really meet some of the best people the best people I know today. Honestly, salt of the earth people have become like good friends. And I think that as long as you want to go to work every day, you can go to work every day. So.
We talk to high school students. We go to different college fairs, career fairs about, you can get into a trade and, spend 4 years at a trade, get your license and be making really good money with little to no student debt. Right. I probably fall in that category. I wish someone told me to go to trade school. My dad was an electrician. People, listeners know this, but, my dad wasn't much for teaching or coaching anybody. He was just like, get out of my way. You can't do this. I'm gonna do it myself. But I wish I had paid attention more. I wish I had gone on some side jobs with him and had been there to watch him. And with my little guy now, he goes to regular high school, but he's expressed interest in going to trades because he sees his brother going to college, paying a lot of money, and going to have a lot of college. He's like, I don't want to have that college. I'd rather go get into the trades and be working while I'm making money. So that's
for a lot
awesome.
of people, it was never even presented as an option to them.
Right.
And I think that's very unfortunate, right? And I'm not knocking higher education. I think there's a lot of good things that you can learn at higher education, depending on what you want to do for a living. However, it's not for everybody, right? And there are a lot of people coming out of colleges today owing $200,000 in student loans and not finding a job or not being able to, earn enough income to, I mean, rents. Think about it. Prices have gone up on food. Rent's gone up. It's expensive right now.
It's tough for someone just getting out of a college and having $200,000 college debt, trying to buy a home, start a family, right?
So I think it's got to be presented as an option to everybody and let them make the best decision that they can make based on them knowing themselves and what they want to do for a living. But I have two 10-year-old kids, and I talk to them every day about all the different options. And I always, I'm very much a proponent for the trades and anybody that likes working with their hands. So.
Yeah, I'd like one of my kids to become a trades guy because then I could use them to help me do stuff around the house. I need to
kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, plumbing. Like a lawyer too. I'd like want to be a lawyer. I want to be a lawyer, so I guess I need law advice, and I would love like an electrician or plumber. I get you busy. I'll get you busy right now with stuff to do, right? And they're probably saying, Dad, I don't want to be your personal electrician. Hey, listen, what, buddy? You're going to do. I know another thing that you guys are proud of and you guys started recently is the FW Awards, the reward program. I'm sure listeners will more about that. Yeah, let's talk about that.
So this has been a huge hit. We started it probably about 4 years ago or so, maybe 5. But it's a loyalty program for contractors that do business with FW Webb. It's absolutely free for them to use. It's free to sign up, and it's a really great program. So what's fwwebrewards.com, and it's they earn points. Every dollar they spend at FW Webb, they earn points back. Points that can be redeemed for merchandise, or if they want to go on a trip, they can select a trip. Every year we do a couple of trips: the Bahamas, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Mexico. So ultimately, it's their choice on what they want to do. Some business owners like to take the trips, get away, take a +1. Some people like to use it for merchandise for their employees. So there's no right way to use it. There's no wrong way to use it. Whatever suits their business. But the merchandise, there's something for every hobby. Doesn't matter if you ski, hike, snowmobile, fish, hunt. I'd like to go to restaurants, play golf. something for everybody. Great merchandise, and the trips are nice too. You get away for a few days and blow off some steam and relax, go for a swim. So it's great. There's no reason not to sign up. Doesn't cost you anything, but it's a nice way for us to give a little something back to everybody, and just, we love our customers. We very much appreciate their business, and we're constantly trying to find creative ways to let them know that we appreciate their business.
I think
This
that's
is
great.
one of them. This
Yeah,
worked well.
have you ever had a customer come back and say that they used that points on a trip and how good the trip was? Have you had anybody tell you that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The trips have been phenomenal. Trips have been phenomenal. We try to pick some cool places. We have a woman here in our office, Jennifer Coloro. She's the we call her the chaos coordinator
Ooh,
on the trip. She does a phenomenal job of making sure that everybody's got what they need on the trip, and also working with our tourism partner to identify cool places for upcoming trips. But the feedback that we've gotten from contractors that have gone on the trips has been it's been phenomenal. Great feedback. Yeah.
I gotta get my little guy to become a plumber and then get in there on that loyalty program, and then I could
That's
be a
it.
+1. He
That's
could be
it.
doing work at my house, and we could be going on
Yep.
trips. So I like that idea.
Yep.
So you've been in business a long time,
I like
25
your
years.
plan. I like
Yeah,
your plan.
it's gotta come
Solid.
together. So it's a solid plan. Yeah,
Solid.
yeah. Kids probably tell me I'm out of my mind. Been in the business a long time, 25 years. What's next, do you think, in that heating and gas area?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's a good question. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do feel like I have a decent idea about what's going to happen in the future. And when we look at the past, I'll look at the past. I'll go back 50 years. Right now, I haven't been doing this for 50 years, but I've done enough research on products to know. I talk educatedly enough about the past 50 years, and I'll tell you that products have changed more in the past 5 years, okay, than they have probably in the past 50 years leading up to that past 5 years. And there's just been a lot of technological advancements recently. And the products that are coming to market now are changing faster than they ever have. So we identify that as really a need for our customers on the training and the education piece, because the products of today and tomorrow are not necessarily the products of yesterday. For a long time, that wasn't the case, right? So, for one, it's constant education and training for ourselves, so we could be the best supplier we could be in the industry, but then also relaying that training to our customers so they can help them be the best contractors that they can be for the homeowners that they support. So I think you're going to continue to see rebates play a factor, incentives play a factor. I think in some cases, when we talk about different fuel sources that are available, whether it be propane, natural gas, oil, versus electricity or heat pump, I think in the short term, when I say short term, 3 to 5 years, I think that will continue to be a factor. And again, let me just say this is Mike DelConte's opinion here, not necessarily the opinion of everybody at FW Webb or FW Webb as a company, but Mike DelConte's opinion is that long term, I think you'll see, as incentives go away and rebates go away, because at some point somebody has to pay for that, right? The federal government's not going to pay for it forever. Okay.
Right.
So when that stuff goes away, I think you'll see more of a normalization to the market for us seeing what it normally used to look like. So what I mean by that is heat pumps are going to be pushed heavily. They have been. They'll continue to be pushed heavily. Electricity over fossil fuel has been being pushed heavily. That's going to have an impact. It's already having an impact. I think as those incentives go away, you're going to see more of a normalization back to propane, oil, natural gas, cast iron boilers. So, and we love heat pumps. We sell a lot of heat pumps at FW Webb. We have great partners in heat pumps. We support that business very much. But what we don't love, or what I don't love, and I know our customers don't love it, is somebody dictating what source of energy they have to use,
Right.
and what sources of energy that used to be available to them that now they can no longer use. Right. You take it happened in Brookline, Mass. It happened out in Berkeley, California. It's happened in Burlington, Vermont. Certain markets where they say now you have to use electricity 100% for everything: heating, cooling, cooking. No gas stoves, no oil boilers, no propane, high efficiency boilers. What we're seeing happen is a lot of that stuff's being overturned at the Supreme Court level, right?
Wow.
We've seen the gas ban, the ban on gas stoves in Berkeley, California, was overturned at the Supreme Court level, or the Ninth District Court, I think it was. The vote in Brookline, Massachusetts, for to ban all fossil fuels was appealed in reversed. So you'll see kind of these areas where the ban on certain things are in place for a short term, but we've seen that long term that doesn't hold up. New Hampshire recently passed a bill called the Freedom of Energy Act. And ultimately what that means is that as a consumer of energy, whether it's a commercial building or a homeowner, that they have the freedom to choose whether they want solar panels. You want solar, you want heat pump, you want electricity, you want oil, you want natural gas, you want propane, doesn't matter, right? You're the homeowner or you're the commercial building owner. You buy whatever energy you want. So what it does is it just creates free trade. It creates competition.
Yeah.
Doesn't ban anybody from providing a service, right? But it also doesn't necessarily. So I love that idea. I think that's great. I would love to see the rest of the country adopt that. And that's, to me, I've always been a big fan of the Constitution. And I've always been a big fan of free trade and capitalism.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to that, right? And I like to see more states adopt that.
Let people choose what they want. That's probably the best way to do it. Yeah.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
amazing.
I know that was probably long-winded, but
no, it's great.
It lets people choose, because you get a lot of BTUs out of a gallon of oil. You get a lot of BTUs and propane too. I mean, propane is more economic, more environmentally friendly from a carbon standpoint than electricity is right now. So a lot of people are saying, "Oh, we got to get away from fossil fuels because we got to go to electricity to save the planet." And the reality is that you're actually doing the reverse when you do that, right? In some cases, because it's not all. Everybody thinks that there's no carbon emissions just because they can't see the carbon emissions. It's happening someplace else. It's somebody else's problem. You know?
I haven't flipped the switch on the whole solar thing. I know people in my neighborhood where I live, I got the solar panels up, but I'm not 100% keen on that just yet. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but that's all great insight because you've been doing this for so long. Another thing we want to talk about too is the golf thing. I know on LinkedIn, you give some very insightful golf tips, which I've written down. It's improved my golf game already. But whose idea was the golf tip thing? Was it yours? Someone put you up to it?
I'm trying to think the first one I did.
They're very good. They're very well shot, very well choreographed, put together.
They're all. I've done a couple of them that were kind of serious, but for the most part, it's a spoof, right? For the most part, the first one I did. Now I remember I was doing a sand trap lesson, right? And I was teaching people how to hit out of a sand trap. And at the end, I said, "Now, one other thing I like to do before I swing," and I pulled a tee out of my pocket. And I said, "I just like to tee the ball up a little bit because it helps me get the ball up and out of the air. It takes the sand out of play." And I said, "I also do this if I'm in the thick grass on the rough, I'll tee it up." And everybody thought it was hysterical. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna post that on social media?" So I said, "All right, I'll post it." And then I started getting comments from people saying, "That's illegal to do. You can't tee the ball up in the sand." And I'm like, I figured anybody that knew me would know I was kidding, right? It was a joke. So then I did another one where I was teaching people how to take your slice out of play. And I don't know if you know this now, but if you put Vaseline on your club face and hit the ball, you won't slice it.
All right,
because it actually takes the spin of the golf ball away. Now, again, totally illegal, right? Completely cheating. So I did that as a joke. So some of the things I do, they're just it's really bad advice because either it won't work or it's just not how you play the game of golf. But some people find a lot of humor in it, so I've continued to do it.
I think it's hilarious because you do it such a straight face and the way you introduce yourself. You totally play it off. And I'm like, "Oh, this guy's this guy's a really good golfer. I gotta start."
If you ever play golf with me, you would see how bad of a golfer I am. I'm horrible. I'm horrible. But I actually know how to play golf. I'm just not good at it. I don't execute the shots, but it's a fun game. I'll continue to do that. I'll start talking about, different things, how to play the game of golf better. And it's just, we get a laugh out of it. I like to say I've been making shitty golfers a little less shitty for 25 years.
I loved your tips. I think they're great. And if anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So I travel a lot throughout the footprint of Webb. So I'm not in my office a ton, but my email I'm always monitoring. So just shoot me an email. It's M as in Michael, DEL at fwweb.com. And I'm looking at that all the time. So I'd be out, if anybody's got any questions, I'd talk about hydronics, energy, FW Web, golf in general. Just, by all means, I'm available. So
love it. All right, now comes my favorite part of the podcast is the lightning round. We ask 10 rapid fire questions. We throw in some lightning sound effects here, but what was the worst job you ever had?
Worst job I ever had was probably the first job I ever had. It was after school. I was sweeping floors at an indoor hockey rink, and it was a very low paying job, and it was very monotonous because I did the same thing every day. But it gave me some spending money, and it got me into the workforce. So I still appreciate what I did, but just in terms of enjoyment, it was a little bit boring, I would say.
All right. What's one career you wish you could have?
To be a rock star.
Ooh, that's a good one. So which band or artist, dead or alive, would play at your funeral?
Guns N' Roses.
Favorite breakfast food?
Bacon and cheese omelet.
What is your cell phone wallpaper?
It is a picture of me and my daughter skiing.
Oh, awesome. If you could live in any country, where would you live?
Portugal.
If you could be on any reality TV show, which one would you choose and why?
Oh man. Woo. Does it have to be currently played, or can it be an old one?
Anyone.
Donald Trump's The Apprentice, because I think it would be that would be fun to do and just see how I did on that.
Bring that one back. Would you rather have invisibility or flight?
Invisibility.
Do you play any instruments?
No, but you know what? I kind of wish I had learned, and I'm thinking at some point I might go take a lesson and try to pick something up.
If you could add anybody to Mount Rushmore, who would it be and why?
Benjamin Franklin's not on Mount Rushmore, is he?
He is not. Oh.
He is not. I would add Benjamin Franklin. I know he was never a U.S. president, but I think he's done a tremendous amount for getting America started and founded, and probably one of the most brilliant of historical figures that we've ever had.
I think you're right on the money. If you could eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It would be pizza, because you get calcium, protein, and carbohydrates in every slice.
What's your favorite pizza place? What's your go-to pizza joint?
Oh my God. There's three that are phenomenal. They're all in the same area. Town Spa in Stoughton, Mass, where I grew up. Okay. The Linwood, which is in Randolph, Mass, next town over. And then in Easton, Mass, right next to Stoughton in Randolph, you have Buddy's Union Villa. And those three places, I tell you what, from a southeastern Massachusetts standpoint, that is the trifecta of pizza. Now, there's a little town in southwest Connecticut that you may have heard of called New Haven, Connecticut.
That's the capital.
I mean, New Haven's got the best pizza going. So anytime I'm visiting the branches in New Haven, I gotta hit the pizza spots. But if I'm in Mass, I'll make the drive to Town Spa. That's worth it. So yeah.
All right. So
and they have a linguiça pizza at Town Spa that you gotta get. And you gotta get a side of the honey mustard sauce. And you dip the crust in the honey mustard sauce. I'm telling you, it could be considered life-changing. I think some people would consider it life-changing. I think Portnoy gave it a 10 out of 10.
I think so. Yeah. There's a place on North Shore called Riverview up in Ipswich. You gave a 10 to too. It's pretty awesome. Let's see here.
Check it out.
If you had a late night talk show, who would you invite as your first guest?
Tucker Carlson.
That's a real good one. Wow. All right, that's good one. And then we always like to ask this one. There's a food fight tonight at the DelConte dinner table. And you can, what is your weapon of choice when you cannot say mashed potatoes?
Oh, that's what I was going to go with. My weapon of choice in a
Yeah.
food fight would be cream spinach.
Ooh, man, that'd be a messy one. That would be a messy one. All right, that's our friend Mike DelConte, Vice President Sales for the Heating and Gas group over there, and we appreciate him very much. Thanks for coming on, Mike. Thank you
My
very much.
pleasure. I appreciate you having
All
me. Great show. Love what you guys are doing, and just honored to be a guest today.
Love it. Love it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.